And with that, to continue to lead us through the opening, I'd like to pass us over to Carolyn Hillyer, if I may. Welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Krista, for that beautiful opening. So I understand that many of you have gathered a stone from a place near you, or have a stone that is special to you that you've brought to this opening of this weekend. And I gathered this one from our land today. It was on a shrine. It's been sitting on a shrine for a long time. If you don't have a stone, then just imagine the feel of a stone in your hands. And if you can hold a stone through the whole of this first bit and the rest of my talk, because we're going to infuse the stone with different aspects of our prayer. I'd like to start by asking you to connect through your small stone to the great rocks, to the primordial body of the earth, to the deep bones of the land, and to the deep remembering bones within your own body. Mother, we reach deep to your stone body, to your flint heart. We reach deep to your granite limbs, to your rock belly. We reach deep to your chalk flesh, to your jeweled veins. We lay down our bones. We lay down our bones, deepening, deepening, and still. So as I share my words over the next bit of time, I invite you to hold your stone and move with it through the different aspects of the prayer. And we're going to be moving through gratitude, through lament, remembering, and finally into mending. So first of all, the stone of gratitude. These words I'm about to share are 4,000 years old. I'll explain more about them soon, but for now, I invite you to feel the ancient spirit that resides within them as I sing them, and you may want to murmur them into your stone. This is our stone of gratitude. Kamano, we remember. Grenjo soito, the magic of our bundles. Samana soito, the magic of our circles. Nata soito, the magic of our songs. Kamano, we remember. RÚNÂ WITSU, all our wisdom. Kamano, we remember. Sago and Sneejo, the blanket and the braid. Kamano, we remember. RÚNÂ WITSU, all our wisdom. Kamano, we remember. RÚNÂ WITSU, all our wisdom. So this language is Proto-Celtic, the ancient mother tongue that was spoken by our Bronze Age ancestors across these islands, but which is no longer a living language. This is an ancestral bone language because it has been found hidden deep within the body of the living Celtic languages that are still spoken today. It has been remembered and it is being rekindled. Wildland is infused down to its stone bones with ancestral memory and ancient sacred song. These things exist whether we are aware of them or not, whether we yearn for them or forget to seek them out. They are a truth within the land. How could it not be so? For every moment throughout time when a human person has stood at the edge of ice or ocean, or walked through forest or mountain, or travelled across desert or grassland or moor, and called or sung or wept or celebrated or whispered or dreamed a part of our story, our experience of being on this earth, our relationship with weather and season and night, our expression of fear and wonder and loss and trust. Every time we have done all of these things, we've been woven into the memory of the land. We have become part of the ancestral fabric of the world, the raw mythology of human interconnectedness with untamed nature, and the profound mystery of our journeys across the wild landscapes of our own souls. We may not remember where we once belonged, or how the truth of us is anchored into the sacred earth, but our soul land has not forgotten us. She has been singing to us since we first placed our feet upon our questing trails. We reach out a hand and we feel her vibration like a thrumming wire. We listen close and we might hear her tapping slow rhythms on our bones as her summoning grows strong. Our ancient soul land has always been traveling inside us, and we've never ceased to be part of her dream. And for all this, we may sing our gratitude into our stone. Our gratitude. So then we move our stone into a stone of lament. I have something to share with you here. This is a reindeer, Arctic reindeer shoulder bone. And this was given to me by a friend who works with the herds in the north. And I cleaned it and smoothed it and painted it with words to describe the lament of far northern lands. In fact, she sent a year ago a whole box of these because we had been planning to prepare them to make an Arctic lament for the actions for XR in London, but of course things shifted and changed and we weren't able to travel in that way. So this is one of these prayer bones. So it's been painted with words and symbols, and the lament that's written on this bone describes the dramatically fast disintegration of climate, which is challenging the existence of the people and the reindeer within their own landscape. Starvation of the herds, melting of the permafrost, disintegration of migration routes, the choking of ancient indigenous cultures. And these are the times to which we are bearing witness. The disappearing Arctic ice is a profound representation of the escalating losses we are experiencing all across the planet. So I offer this bone into our prayer of lament. There is a hill beside the river Ob as it heads north across the Siberian tundra towards the Arctic Sea. And this hill is called Saleyav, and it's sacred to both the Nenets and the Hunty people in that region. But due to military restrictions and limitations on people's movement on the land, those people are no longer able to access this really important shrine. So instead, the nearest that they can get is as the riverboat passes along the River Ob below Saleyav. And then everyone comes out onto the deck to make prayers to Saleyav as the boat passes by. Saleyav your way. Saleyav your way. Saleyav your way. Saleyav your way. These are the times to which we are bearing witness. Saleyav is a profound representation of the loss and disempowerment of all our sacred places all across the planet. So I'd like to invite you to place some Proto-Celtic ancient mother words into your stone of lament. I'm going to say them really slowly so you can whisper them after me, and then I will give you the meaning of them. Telamon, wasto, wiran, tuslo. That's Telamon, wasto, wiran, tuslo. The earth is empty. The land is hollow. Telamon, wasto, wiran, tuslo. Sondo and laro que galaro. Sondo and laro que galaro. Here is our lonely song of sorrow. Sondo and laro que galaro. Sondo and laro di wiran. Sondo and laro di wiran. Here is our lonely song of the land. Sondo and laro di wiran. So as you hold your stone of lament, I'm going to sing a song for you. Wearied limbs, we are held by our mother's arms. Sorrowed eyes, we are kissed by our mother's love. Tender hearts, we are healed by our mother's truth. Wounded souls, we will always be soothed by our mother's songs. Wearied limbs, we are held by our mother's arms. Sorrowed eyes, we are kissed by our mother's love. Tender hearts, we are healed by our mother's truth. Wounded souls, we will always be soothed by our mother's songs. So we have infused our stones, first of all, with our prayer of gratitude, and then with our prayer of lament, and now our prayer of remembering. I want to share her with you, this bear totem. She's carved in the form of half woman, half bear, and she wears vast swathes of time around her belly, time that has been concentrated and encapsulated into her amulets. And in this small primordial cave bear bone alone, she carries 40,000 years of time. A place in our ancestral memory when people were beginning to make bone flutes by which to sing the spirits of the land and carve women as symbols of the sacred earth and create shrines. So this bear mother is a symbol of our deep remembering. "1,000 generations ago, the glacial boundary swept from the southwest corner of these islands in an unbroken route up to what is now the Siberian Arctic edge. And there are names for this route north: the Cold Harrow Way, the Reindeer Road, or we might simply call it the trail to a forgotten version of ourselves. It is a route along which our ancestor people scattered their prayer bones and fragments of their sacred truths as they traveled this earth. Fragments waiting to be found and absorbed into our own stories and our new sacred truths. So I'd like to invite you to stand together with me along the edge of this ancient reindeer road that moves across our islands, this ancient route towards the grey ice, and to call out to the primordial ancestor people of these islands. Or of the place where you are. And again, I'm going to sing in the Proto-Celtic, and I'm going to tell you what it means first and sing each line twice, so the second time you can sing with me. It means, we are calling you, sacred grandmothers. We are calling you, sacred grandfathers. We are yearning, 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 so we are calling you, sacred grandmothers, grandfathers. We are calling. Galweyo noi bonani. Galweyo noi bonani. Galweyo noi boiro. Galweyo noiboiro. Sirashto, sirashto, sirashto galweo. Sirashto, sirashto, sirashto galweo. Noibonani anwiro galweo. Noibonani anwiro galweo. So you may want to hold your stone close to you as you place your ancestral remembering into it, and you may want to close your eyes. I'm just going to share a story meditation. Even as they hear our call, our ancestor people turn their steps towards where we are waiting on the snow. There are so many of them. They stand behind our backs, long trails of people stretching out over the frozen lakes, spilling beyond the skyline, and eventually lost far inside dark shadows of time. Across the ice, there forms a river of ancestor blood, a mesh of ancestor bones, a web of ancestor lives into which we are each profoundly and intricately woven. As we walk along our line of ancestral people, they raise their hands to touch us. We are being wrapped in the enduring life force of these ancient people. Each ancestor we pass has given some part of herself or himself to the people that we are now. There are so many foremothers and forefathers, whispering, murmuring, singing, calling inside us. We passed 500, 600, 900 generations of ancestor people. And eventually 1,000 generations of people stand behind us in an unbroken line, part of the truth of our bodies and the root of our souls and the mystery of our lives on this earth. And this great tribe of ancestors, older than even the lands and the seas in the forms that we know them, hang through the years like the beads on a necklace. Everyone linked and cascading past all generations and rolling migrations and sacred relations to earth. Our primordial ancestor people are each holding a cord, and they're raising the cords in their hands, and they're starting to wind them onto spindles that hang from their belts. And all around us, the cords are now tightening, and we're being pulled close to each other. A vast net of connections that draw us together. For the cords form a map of our ancestor mothers and fathers, not a single straight line, but a web that spreads wide over borders and cultures and histories and lands. So we, We will keep walking and sitting and sleeping and growing on this earth, absorbing her clear breath, absorbing her deep pulse, absorbing the dust and the mud and the fire and the salt and the ice of her, until the song of our own soul land moves deeply within us, a song that will empty us and fill us and mold us into new and ancient forms, until we have again become the song of wild sacred land. We will be sung back into our source, where we will find the integrity and the courage and the imagination to hope and create and manifest in our shared work of mending what is broken and gathering what is scattered and healing the fabric of our world. So I want to move now into our fourth part of this journey with our stones. This is the stone of mending. The stone of mending. So where may we find the hope and the possibility of our mending and bearing witness to the mending of our earth? We begin with gratitude, because our first action is to offer ourselves to the earth and give our thanks for everything and everyone that has carried our footsteps to this place. And then we pour ourselves into lament, so that we may become stripped back, peeled away, dissolved into our vulnerability, until we connect with the truth of our own sorrow and the truth of our shared sorrow for this earth. In the lament, we may become broken. In the breaking lies courage we may not imagine to exist, and strength we may not know is contained within us. And next comes remembering, for within the embrace of ancient memory, we are able to discover a collective wisdom and an intuitive understanding far greater than we have ever known or may have dreamed of. We become closer bound to our human tribe through the ancestors' stories we carry scribed onto our bones, through the primordial magic that we discover within ourselves and within each other. And at last, the mending, the moment when we are ready to reshape, to shift our perspective and our possibilities. And to describe this song of mending that we're going to put in our stones this morning, I'm going to bring us back right round to the 4,000-year-old mother language of these islands. I've got some words to share with you about this. I have been working with this language for about 7 years now, and have really drawn it in closer to me over the last year or so, while I've been writing about it and creating lexicons that enable other people to access it and rekindle it into our practice, into our journeys, into our sacred sites and prayers, into our songs. So the secret of this language is that it's not a language that is being held in a living way. So therefore we are remembering it within our bones, and therefore it belongs to all of us in whatever way we wish to wear it. The pronunciation and the way the words are gathered together can fit each one of us individually. And in fact, I love the sense of its journey, having come from Central Europe and through North and Western Europe into these islands, that it would have passed through so many areas where it would have been spoken in different accents, different dialects. So the key to this bone language is that it's shaped within our own mouths, within our own hearts, within our own souls, the way that we best want to connect with it and make our expression to the land, to the sacred prayers that we're offering. Why is this ancient language significant or even relevant to our now existing world? Because language is part of identity. And when we identify with something that fits our deep sense of ourselves and our place in this world, then we grow in strength and clarity, trust and confidence. Because this ancient mother tongue offers us a new way of describing our sacred relationship with the soul of the world, it presents us with an untamed channel of communication that is not hemmed in by contemporary cultural parameters or the accumulated burdens of history and politics that weigh down modern language. When we use ancient language to express our deepest, truest, most raw relationship with a wild place, with a landscape, with a piece of the earth, then we begin to recognize and to unravel our intangible yearning for home and to connect with our own indigene. We feel that we belong. When we know that we belong, we also know how to celebrate and honor the natural world of which we are a part, and we come to understand more profoundly our responsibilities towards it. When we realize the truth and magnitude of those responsibilities, we know we must work together to meet them. When we all meet our responsibilities as human people indigenous to this earth, then we stand some chance of soothing and mending, healing and protecting what we, as a species, have broken. I have 2 songs to share to complete this journey with our stones. One of them I'd like to invite you also to sing with. It's also in the mother language, and then I'm going to end with a song to offer you. So if anyone has a drum, you're very welcome to drum along with this as well. These words again mean blessed grandmothers, blessed grandfathers. Then it goes into these sacred bones, this sacred breath, this sacred earth, this sacred blood. So I'm just going to start it. I'm going to sing each line with a bit of a gap, so you can come in after me if you want to respond to my song. Noi DIJARÂ kajo Kruasa kajo Kruasa kajo Noi bonani Noi boero Noi bonani Noi boero Ascono kajo Biwo kajo DIJARÂ kajo Kruasa kajo Noi bonani Noi bonani Noi bonani. So we're going to move into some questions soon. I would like to finish by asking you to hold your stone, to feel in that the gratitude, the lament, the remembering, and the mending. Maybe you want to give your stone to someone or to put it somewhere on the earth, wherever you would like to place it after this weekend. And I'm going to sing you this. This song I wrote quite some years ago on one of my journeys to Siberia and Arctic. And on this occasion, myself and my daughter gathered 13 small stones from the land here, from the river. And we invited at a gathering of people, about 200 people, to whisper their prayers into the pouch where the stones were sitting. And then we gathered all those prayers into the pouch and we travelled north with them. And when we reached the tundra where there are no stones, no pebbles, no rocks, everything of the bones of the earth are deep down beneath the permafrost. So these stones became gifts that we could give to women that we met there as we were sharing songs and our work with our Nenets friends. And I know some of the stones went on long migrations with the reindeer after that. So as the stones were being offered in these little spontaneous ceremonies, this is a song that I sang, and I offer it to you and to your stone. I will give you a blanket of us, and a stone to bring strength to your hearth, and a blessing to wrap around your love, with the wild and the wonder of us, with the wild and the wonder of us. I will give you a blanket of earth, and a stone to bring strength to your hearth, and a blessing to wrap around your love, with the wild and the wonder of us, with the wild and the wonder of earth. Thank you. May you have a beautiful weekend, the rest of the presentations. But I think we have some questions now, Krista, is that right?
What can I say? Somebody is just saying clap, clap, clap in the chat. Don't know if you can see it, Caroline. That was absolutely amazing. I'm grateful that you joined us. So we have now time for questions. If you want to put any questions into the chat, please do that now. So I had already 2 questions. Yeah, somebody says, thank you so much. Wow, thank you so much. The thank yous are flying.
Thank you.
Carolyn, I don't think I can read every single one to you. Thank you, feeling the gift, so beautiful, thank you. So there's one after another now. Let's try to do the questions and I then give you some more thank yous, shall I?
Yes, let's do questions, that's good, thank you.
Okay, so Kieran asked, is it possible to get the lyrics to the old prayers and songs, and where can I find them?
Yes, it is possible. I published a book just before the winter solstice, and it is a lexicon, which is a word list, but it's many word lists. So what I've done is I've loitered online around dusty academic places for the last few years, gathering up the Proto-Celtic words that have been researched for a long period of time within academia. And I brought them into a form that we can be able to create with and bring alive again. So yes, you can find that. The book is called Her Bone Bundle, and it also comes with an album, which just a short album, so that you can hear some of the ones I've been singing. So you can get a sense of how it sounds. But of course, as I was saying, it's also for you to find the shape of the words in your own mouth.
Thank you, Caroline. Now that brings me to the next question, which I think you have answered, but I will ask it anyway. Luisa asks, when does your book of this language come out? This language feels familiar to me, but you have answered it.
Well, yes, I've answered the first bit. The second bit about it being familiar, I'd like to say something about that actually, because that has been exactly my experience of working with it. And when I first ever taught it to a group, which was quite a large gathering of several hundred women, about 5 years ago, I think. And I taught 2 songs in this language. And as I was moving around the circle, teaching the words, the number of women who were weeping, bursting into tears, being overwhelmed by that exact feeling of something that felt familiar within the body, within the bones, actually, and that they could claim a fragment of for themselves. Each one of us can reach into this language and enable it to fit our own journeys. So yes, the familiarity, I really recognize what you're saying with that.
Okay. Okay, there is a question which comes close to this, and I think maybe you want to elaborate on this a bit. Claire Phillips said, astonishing. I found this very moving and deep. You have such a lot of knowledge and knowing. It feels almost overwhelming what I don't know. What I don't know is, where do you suggest I could begin? I kind of feel that I just find my own way and cherry pick what feels right. So following where I'm drawn. This weekend is part of this. But I wonder if this is enough, or whether to commit to a tradition. And I want to add to that, what do you offer in the next few months, Carolyn, which would also help Claire along? if there's anything.
Yes, so that's really profound what you're saying, Claire, about picking, gathering, finding the things that fit you. And that has exactly been my experience through my life since I first stepped onto this path as a young woman, that I've followed an intuitive trail through it. I haven't stepped at any one point deeply into formal traditions. I've skirted around the edges and observed, but always the truth I have found in the land. And when I am needing to check in with myself about what feels real, what feels that it has integrity and depth, I always find that in the land, in the wild land, whatever bit of wild land you can access. It's so deeply resonant within our own landscape. And I think a source of grief sometimes has been to hear when people have said that there's so much we've lost here, that we don't really have our traditions intact. And my sense of that is that they are really intact and strong and vibrant, but we just forget to look for them, or we forget to turn over a stone and look a little bit deeper, or we don't perhaps want to walk through a bog to get to where they may be sitting in the mud. So it's all there waiting for us. And your sense of gathering fragments and finding the bits that fit you, in that sense, I guess we're all shaping a coat around us, each one of us, an individual coat made up of the pieces of cloth that we have found along our journeys. And it's unique to us, this coat, and it's the coat that expresses our soul. And of course, it's going to be different for every single being. And to feel free in the journey of that, and not to feel that we're lacking, because it's all waiting for its own time to come to us. But always land, the earth, the water, fire, all of those deep things that we know we can trust, they're always there to check in with. We want to get confirmation of what feels real. I hope that answers for you.
I love that, because it is exactly that, isn't it? We are almost trying for confirmation in our brains. Should I follow this path or this or this? And the confirmation comes when we go deep enough. For you, it's the earth, isn't it? Where you then check in a way almost, and it feels right. And then you trust it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, we have got time for a bit more, have we? Yeah. Okay, so there's a very quick one from Anna. Anna asks, what would be the ancient name of a medicine person, wise woman? As I'm trying to find an appropriate word instead of using the word shaman. I think that's something which a question lots of us have. So
Yes.
any idea, any suggestion?
Yeah, it is a really important question, and there are answers for it. But I feel that these words, I found 8. I had to dig a long way, and I found 8 words that I call the women of the Matir Ya, and which is the women of the mother line. And I've written about these words. I'm not saying you should get the book to get, but what I feel is I don't want to just say the words on screen like this. I think they're really important, deep names, but they're there in that writing. And or if you don't have the resource to buy the book, you can email me and I'll share them that way. I think it's such a yearning for us to anchor ourselves into our own traditions. And these words for me have been a key that I've also been looking for. So when I found them, or when I was able to, let's say, unravel them from the texts, then that felt like a huge, great gift. So yes, they are there, and I invite you either to go to the book or to contact me if you don't want to do it that way. You can contact me about that.
Okay. Carolyn, can you say the title of the book once more?
Her Bone Bundle. Her Bone Bundle.
Yeah, you can get it at Seventh Wave Music, but I will come to that at the end. We have time for one more, and this is a statement, but I quite like it because it ties in with what you just said. This is from Epona, Galicia, so I assume from Spain or somewhere in the south. And she says, I'm from Southern Europe, but I feel the love and protection of our Northern Indigenous elders and relations. You just awakened the land here, and I will offer the stone to the Valley of Merveille to unite us all. And I think this is quite beautiful. Do you want to say something about this uniting? Because I think the separation is just in our heads, isn't it? I mean, the whole earth is united. But as we begin to understand that more, as you said before, and understand more that it's a web, maybe you want to say something more about this? That Espona is taking the stone to Spain and doing something with it there?
Oh, that's beautiful that she's doing it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, uniting. I feel that we are most useful to each other as human beings across the planet when we can stand in our own integrity and truth and the power of our own connection to the land, to the earth. And so our responsibility to each other is that we can find that truth within ourselves, because then we are most useful to all our sisters and brothers across the planet. And we can stand then eye to eye, instead of feeling that we are not in this circle of connection. Our key responsibility is to get ourselves connected in. And within that connection, of course, there's nothing that we cannot do as a human collective of beings who are aware of what we need to do on this earth. I think if we stand in a place of either feeling we have nothing or feeling we have more than, we never can participate fully within the circle of humanity. So that is our responsibility, to find our place within the web, as you say, within the circle, and be able to stand eye to eye with every single being on this planet as we undertake this massive job to mend and gather and repair.
Thank you ever so much. I am, I guess, like many who have been with us so far, deeply touched and deeply grateful that you came in and were with us right at the opening, which I feel now, as these things go, was exactly the right time and place, wasn't it? So before we say goodbye to Carolyn, we usually introduce the speakers, of course, before they talk, but as Carolyn just took straight over, leading us from the opening ceremony into the connection with the stones, with the stone, I will do that now. Oh, goodness, what is there to say about this woman? This woman, she is multi-talented, and to put it into words is a bit like the ancient medicine woman. You have to find it, or to find those words, but I use our normal words we're using. She is, of course, a writer, an artist, a musician, a drum maker. Carolyn leads workshops. She is big times involved in running women's gatherings and women's workshops. And she lives in Dartmoor, and that's where I know her from. I made my first ever drum with you 20 odd years ago, long time ago. And Carolyn has released over 20 albums singing of ancestral memories and the sacred spirits in the land. She's also a painter, and there are some amazing life-size artwork of feminine archetypes, isn't it, Caroline? The big life-sized paintings. And then she has written quite a few books, which are also rooted in the ancient tapestry of the land, really, and the feminine quite often. Quite often they explore the feminine and women's ancestral relationship with the kind of raw mystery of the earth, that raw relationship. So Carolyn also travels very widely. I remember there's something in Siberia, and then God knows where. Do you want to say where you have been? Loads of places.
That's okay.
With your work. But you can find out all about it, about her work and everything in Seventh Wave Music. Just Google it or go into the website of Sacred Earth Activism, and you can click into her website at the speaker's profile. So everything is there, and everything which will be coming up. And I don't know what to say besides of thank you for joining us. Thank you really very, very much. And just to read one or two, thank you and a deep bow to you, Caroline. It's the last message I had. Thank you. Thank you.